I based my business practices on three things: honesty, doing things correctly, keeping the best interest of the customer in mind at all times, and tithing. You should be honest, but this is so important when growing a business. If you make a mistake, admit it. People appreciate that. Give advice, even if it may not be what they want to hear. Pay your taxes. Don't try and cut corners. Don't do anything that puts your ethics or morals in question. That's how I sleep at night. Keeping in mind the best interest of the customer. An example, in our insurance business, we didn't always have the lowest rates. So we would refer people to businesses we were not affiliated with if we thought they would get a better deal. Many customers came back after 6 months because they appreciated the gesture. Do not overcharge people. Listen to people if you can help them and do it. And don't be afraid to say, I don't know, but I will find out.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7- and 8-figure businesses, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where he helps startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. You ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Now, today we've got another great guest on the podcast, Tavi Gallego, and Tavi graduated from high school and while dealing with some addiction issues, and went off to college, but didn't end up finishing, and went to work in the food and then the carpentry and landscaping industries, doing a lot of different jobs along the way. And then got into the insurance industry and was able to kick his addiction issues, and then worked for State Farm before starting his own agency. Got into giving to nonprofits and charity and generosity there. And then started a crypto app business that's evolved over into or continued to evolve into an exchange, as well as incorporating giving and charity as part of it. So with that much as an introduction, welcome on the podcast, Tavi.
Thank you, Devin. Appreciate that.
Hey, excited to have you on. So I just gave a quick run through to a much longer journey, but why don't we rewind and unpack that a little bit and tell us a little bit about how your journey got started in high school?
Yeah. So I was traveling to visit my father every summer. I was here in Louisville during the school years, and then in the summertime, I was visiting my father in Cali, Colombia, where I learned to speak Spanish. I did have a fortunate few years there where I had some addiction issues, but thank you, Jesus. I feel like those chains are broken, and I've moved on. And so I started at I met my fiance, and about 12 years ago, I was slinging tires at a recycling tire plant, and she said, "You're well spoken, you speak 2 languages. You need to look for a different job." And so since then, I've started looking at other industries and opportunities. I got into insurance. I got into State Farm, where I used both my English and Spanish to help grow a book of business. Once I saw some success there, I started my own insurance agency in February of 2017.
Now, just diving in just a little bit, just maybe to rewind, because you were at State Farm. Now, before that, I think you'd done a variety of different. You were in landscaping. You were in food services. So walk us a little bit, kind of before getting into State Farm and into the insurance industry. Kind of what did you do after initially going off to college and then going in a different direction?
Absolutely, and if I I've worked just about every industry. The only industry that I really don't think I've worked in is the healthcare industry. And I've worked landscaping, restaurants, factory work. I was a carpenter for a few years, and never really found what I wanted to really do with my life. But I've been at the bottom of the totem pole for just about every job industry. If you can name one, I've probably done it. And I've tried to use that, like being at the bottom of the rung. I've tried to use that experience to be the best leader, manager, if you will, that I can possibly be.
So now you are doing, those various jobs, working in a lot of different industries, kind of work through that now. How, you mentioned that you got into State Farm and the insurance industry. Now, what caused that shift, or kind of was it just, hey, good opportunity, or was it more intentional, or kind of what made you go from kind of, jumping between those jobs to going to the insurance industry?
Great question, Devin. I actually, when I met my fiance, she was the one that was like, you need to up your game and do something different. And so I actually worked with Aflac for about 9 months, and it was a really brutal, hard experience. I got so many no's. I probably sold one policy in those 9 months. It was really hard, but it was a lesson that I needed to learn, how to take a no, and how to grow from that. And so um, I went from Aflac, and I was, with not minimal success there, and I started looking at other insurance agencies, and State Farm seemed to be a good fit. Here in Louisville, Kentucky, there's a huge Latino population, so I was able to use my Spanish to start growing the State Farm agency. Once I saw some success in the State Farm agency, I said maybe I should do this on my own. I had some other people suggest it as well, and I was able to start my own independent insurance agency where I had access to a lot more carriers, and things like that.
So you start your own insurance kind of agency. Now, did it, sometimes you go out on your own and you have a good book of business and it takes off and does well. And other times you figure out, hey, this is a lot more work and a lot harder than I anticipated, or sometimes somewhere in the middle. So walk us through a bit, kind of now as you're going out on your own, what was that, part of the journey, or how did that go?
Great question, Devin. So when I was looking to start my own agency, I wanted to have access to several carriers. When there was a rate increase with State Farm, there wasn't really other options to look at within State Farm. They're a captive insurance agency. So I started my own, and I had access to about 14 different carriers. It was just me and my fiance. We started February 17th. It was really tough. We started in a little 500 square foot office. And then as the office grew, I've got so many people packed in the office that when I'm opening the door, I'm hitting customers on the shoulder trying to get to my desk. And it was just like, I got to get into a bigger space. So we moved from that little office to a bigger building in 2019, I think June or July of 2019. And I was able to also add on 4 employees at that time. So it was me and my fiance, and then 4 employees that we needed bilingual agents. And so once we got solid bilingual people, we trained them and then also paid for their licensing and things like that, because I didn't want to get people with bad habits from other agencies and stuff. We wanted brand new. And so I was able to train the agents that were working with me. And I incorporated a lot of different things into the insurance agency, that I saw that were wrong with State Farm, or just in general, other insurance agencies. And so, like, for example, one of the issues I noticed at the insurance agency was they bonused the employees on the policy sold. So I'm going out, I'm churning up all this business. Well, I would go out on lunch, I would get back, and one of the other agents was writing one of my customers that I had spoken with over the weekend. And then that agent would get the bonus. So one of the things I did was, every employee that works with me is going to get the same bonus, because you need the receptionist just as much as you need the service person, just as much as you need the salesperson. And so that was just one of the things I implemented. I tried to be as good and compassionate of a manager, of a supervisor that I could be with my employees, with some of the things I didn't get in my previous jobs. And the agency actually did real well. The pandemic was kind of hard on us because we required our customers to come to the agency to write their policies. And so when the pandemic happened, we had to do everything by phone. And that was kind of difficult to get, it's like 3 months of just, it being brutal. And so, but then were able to get back in the insurance agency, and things grew. I knew I was done in February of 17. I knew I was done a few months before that with it. I just, done it. I felt like it was time to move on. And so that's when I started to look to sell the agency. And now I have everything invested into this new project that I'm working on.
Hmm. So now one of the things you'd mentioned kind of as you were going along and, so you got into State Farm and then into your own agent or agency as well, is you also got into, I think, giving to non-for-profits and charity and kind of looking at the generosity aspect of life as well. So walk us through a little bit of how that was incorporated into your journey.
Sure. So when I started my insurance agency, my parents are Christians. They raised me that way, and my mom said, Tavi, when your stepdad and I started tithing, we really saw just all these financial blessings, and so I incorporated that method into the business model, and then I just started to see almost like supernatural growth within the agency. And so I thought there's something there about giving. It even like there's a physiological change that happens when you give. And so um, the being generous and giving really, I think it helps me, and it also I feel like it helped the agency grow. And I started to look into like nonprofits and charities. One of the nonprofits that I have on my new project that I was already associated with in the insurance agency was Food for the Hungry. They're a great organization. They feed and clothe and educate people all over the world that need it. And so starting to see the importance of giving and the importance of what nonprofits and charities actually do for us as a society was kind of a big deal.
Hmm. So no, makes good sense. So you say you start to see that's an important part of life and society is the giving and the generosity aspect of it. So doing your own agency, kind of, or getting into the giving mode of life, and a mix amongst all of this, and you started doing a crypto app or crypto app business. Walk us through a little bit of how you came up with that and kind of what motivated that shift or change and how it went.
Absolutely. So my best ideas come to me 2, 3 in the morning. I had already been investing into crypto and looking into the technology, and I really feel like crypto and blockchain technology is one of the best ways to do business transactionally. If you know anything about blockchain, it's a transparent way to do business. Everything's on a public ledger. You can't argue with numbers. It's an unalterable ledger, so no one can go in and change it and alter anything. It's a very transparent way of doing business. And so I wanted to initially create a crypto token, and then that idea started to evolve. And I'm like, well, what about creating an exchange platform? And then okay, so we're going to do the exchange platform. Or what if we incorporated some sort of giving model? And then what if we um, prompted other businesses, small and large, to give to nonprofits and charities as well. And so that's kind of the main mission of the project is to get all businesses, small and large, if you're doing well, give 1%, 0.5%, 2%, whatever you feel comfortable with, to a verified, solid nonprofit and charity. That's the main goal of the project, to get businesses to give back and to make that the norm rather than the exception.
Hmm. So now you have that as the goal, and so you start to get into the industry and start to build that out. Now, sometimes you can get in, and giving is something that on the one hand people are naturally inclined to do, and yet on the other hand, if they don't have a lot to give, then it's something where they're not able to, and so you kind of hit those different pressures. So as you're getting into the business and starting out and trying to kind of or shift things in that direction, walk us through, how did it go? Was it something that went amazingly well and took off and everybody was supportive and business grew exponentially? One that was everything was kind of teetering on the bank or verge of bankruptcy all the time, or somewhere in the middle? So walk us through a little bit.
Yeah, so to be honest with you, we sold the agency in February of 2022, and so I've been working on the project for since March of last year, and we would anticipate to launch within the next month to 2 months. So I don't have a response yet on the success of the new project. But there's a lot of cool different things and aspects about the project that are going to hit different people in different ways. That I anticipate success, and so yeah.
Well, sounds like an exciting time. Always kind of exciting to have things or get close to launch, and also nerve-wracking to see if it does as well as they're hopeful or hoped for and anticipated. So definitely wish you good luck with the launch. So well, now as we've kind of caught up to the present date, so you kind of touched on it, but if you're to look now into the 6 to 12 months, so you get to the launch and you have things going, where do you kind of look to see or anticipate things going from there, or kind of what's the plan as you get things launched?
So there's so many, when I have to affiliate with third party companies, like for different parts of the project. And one thing I noticed is every application is, okay, what's your board members? How many percentage of ownership? How many employees do you have? How many this, that? I'm just one guy, man. I'm just one guy, from my living room, trying to change the world. And so there was so much that I didn't realize what I was getting into when I started into it. And one of the things is the team asked me, do I create a non-custodial digital wallet or a custodial? And then if we're going to incorporate the exchange platform, do I want that to be centralized or decentralized? And after the discussion with the team, I didn't even know that some of these bigger apps, bigger known cryptocurrencies are operating as custodial and centralized apps. What does that mean? That means that when you sign up with their app, they are essentially taking hold of your private key, your seed phrase. They hold your funds as well. And so I did not want to go that route. I wanted to go with a non-custodial digital wallet, and then I wanted it to operate with a decentralized exchange. That means that as the owner of the digital wallet, you hold your own funds. There is no third party. I, as the GIE admin, can't get involved. You hold your own funds. You are the true holder of your funds. I look at it like a safe with gold in your house. Like that, nobody else is going to get involved. The government, the banks, that kind of thing. And so, the non-custodial digital wallet, typically, when you're talking about that kind of wallet, you have to download it and then go to another website to do the exchanges and investing. So we have incorporated the digital wallet, the non-custodial digital wallet, and we're operating with the decentralized crypto exchange, all on one platform. And those who are in crypto will be shaking their heads and nodding in agreement as I'm saying this, because they understand the technology behind it. And so that was kind of the biggest thing, was creating that. We're going to operate on the Polygon blockchain at first. So that's the first aspect of the project, is the technology. We also have an educational platform on our app where customers can get on and learn about anything crypto. Everything A to Z. If you're a crypto novice, you can learn. If you're a crypto expert, you can still learn on our platform. There's an educational component. There is a businesses that gives back tab. So we're making a list of businesses that give back that customers can use as a reference point when they're looking. We know that a lot of the philanthropic side of businesses giving is going to be consumer driven. There may be some businesses that look at to hear our message are like, yeah, we should do that, but a lot of people aren't going to do that just off of what we say. So we want the consumer to be aware of the company that they're doing business with, and we want to make sure that they are the business they are doing. I'm sorry, the company they're doing business with is giving to a nonprofit or charity. So we have a list of companies on our app that is just a list of companies that are giving to a nonprofit or charity, and we verify that. There's also a news section on our app where people can get caught up on the newest crypto news. And then we've also implemented an AI technology that's really innovative. We're going to be doing some really cool things with the AI on the app. Those of you guys who don't believe in AI, it's okay. We have a disable button, So you can just disable the AI if you don't want to. And so, yeah, so we have the philanthropic side where we want customers, people, everyone to give back. We have the non-custodial, decentralized aspect of it, and then we have the AI component, as well as the educational part. So there's a lot of different moving parts to this, and what I'm getting at is it's been a lot of hard work to get through, to get through all this. But you're right, I am really excited about the next month or so.
Well, that's awesome. Sounds like some great things that are coming out. A lot of awesome opportunities to explore a lot of different directions. So that sounds like an exciting time. So, but with that, now as we've kind of reached the present day of your journey and even looking a bit into the future, it's a great time to transition to the two questions I always like to ask at the end of each episode. So we'll jump to those now. So the first question I always like to ask is, along your journey, what was the worst business decision you ever made? And what'd you learn from it?
I think our biggest mistake was that we underestimated how successful we would be and felt overwhelmed. You want to plan for success and scale back if you have to. We should have had a receptionist already, for example. It caused some issues with just how much workload we were taking on. The other thing I wanted to mention on that is we went 100% on all our customers. And so because I was doing that, I just started taking things too personally. And I just want to remind people that when you're doing business, remember, it's just business. And some people aren't going to take your good advice. Some people might not appreciate your hard work for them, and that's okay. But yeah, I think those are the two main things that, kind of messed up on that you learned from.
Well, sounds like some easy mistakes to make, but great ones to learn from. So that's great. Now, the second question I'd like to ask is, so now if you're talking to somebody that's just getting into a startup or a small business, what would be the one piece of advice you give them?
Okay. I based my business practices on three things: honesty, doing things correctly, keeping the best interest of the customer in mind at all times, and tithing. You should be honest, but this is so important when growing a business. If you make a mistake, admit it. People appreciate that. Give advice, even if it may not be what they want to hear. Pay your taxes. Don't try and cut corners. Don't do anything that puts your ethics or morals in question. That's how I sleep at night. Keeping in mind the best interest of the customer. An example, in our insurance business, we didn't always have the lowest rates, so we would refer people to businesses we were not affiliated with if we thought they would get a better deal. Many customers came back after 6 months because they appreciated the gesture. Do not overcharge people. Listen to people if you can help them, and do it. And don't be afraid to say, I don't know, but I will find out. The last piece is, from the beginning, I had tithe. It's the only part in the Bible that God says to test him on this, that if you tithe, he's going to bless you. And so I incorporated that model as soon as I got into business. We did grow really fast. And if we were lacking funds, something always worked out. So I have faith in him, and have faith in yourself that things are going to work out. We want to change the world. We want to make people aware of who they're doing business with and how they do business. If we all look out for each other, and tithe some of the profits, there's only success to be had.
No, I think that's a ton of great takeaways and a good piece of advice for those that are just getting started and those that have been in business for a while. So definitely some are good takeaways. So with that, now as we are wrapping up the episode, if people want to reach out to you, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
So we have our website, www.giecrypto.com. And from there, they can click on any of our social media pages and reach out to us via any of our social media venues.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage people to reach out, support a great business, and And if nothing else, make a new best friend. So with that, thank you again, Tavi, for coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you that are listeners, if you have your own journey to share and you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, we'd love to have you. So just go to inventiveguest.com, apply to be on the show. A couple more things as listeners. Make sure to click share, subscribe, leave us a review. Helps us to reach even more startups and small businesses to help them along their journey to success. And on that note, if you ever need help along your journey with patents, trademarks, or anything else with your startup, your small business, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Well, thank you again, Tavi, for coming on the podcast, and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thank you, Devin.